assume you're probably all very hungry right now. I know just how you feel. I felt exactly the same way. My name is Stormy Slafley. I'm a film critic and a member of the New York Film Critics Circle. I am really excited to be here to moderate this panel on this wonderful movie you saw tonight, Nonnas. Let's give it a huge round of applause. Without further ado, I would like to invite our amazing guests onto the stage. Please first welcome producers RACHELSHANE and Jack Turner. Please welcome Joe Manganiello. Please put your hands together for BRENDAVACCARO.
Joe. There we go.
Oh, I'm so confused. Oh, no. I can't.
Please, let's keep the cheer going. LORRAINEBRACCO. Screenwriter Liz Maccie. And director of Nonnas, Chbosky.
For a Yankee game. Hi, everybody.
This is such a great honor to be here and celebrate this movie, which is about the celebration of food and community and family. So I'm going to first start with you, Stephen and Liz. Tell me a little bit about how you came across this project, get to know this real-life restaurant, Enoteca Maria.
Well, there was an article that had been written that I had read, and then many years later, I was at a general meeting at Madison Wells with this beautiful woman, and we were just talking, and they had mentioned to me, oh, we just acquired the life rights to this true story, which the real Joe Scaravella opened a restaurant and hired real-life grandmothers as chefs. I was like, I read that article, I know that article, and I was like, you have to let me come pitch on this. This is my family, this is my life. So they very kindly let me come in, and then I had the greatest opportunity to write it.
And Stephen?
Liz is my wife, and our kids are out there, I think, razzing me. Anyway, there was another director attached at the very, very beginning when she was hired, and I said if by some blessing that person would drop out for whatever reason, things happen in our business, I would love to do it. And Liz was very sweet, very stealthily, when that did happen, said, hey, what do you think about, Steve Chbosky? And they're like, oh, it'd be great if you think we could get it to him, And
I think I can.
Yeah, I think I can. By the way, but that was very gutsy of her, because he said, oh yeah, he's overrated, I hate his stuff. No, you never know what's going to happen, but it was a real blessing. And I have to say one other, we skipped one step here, which is very at the end, Jack Turner, who is our producer, a very Staten Island resident, a very dear friend of Joe Scaravella, a very good producer. He's done some wonderful docs and other things. Anyway, Jack protected Joe, and he was Joe's guy. And I gotta say, we all know this, the real Joe Scaravella, he is such a good man. He did this great thing, and we all kind of followed his dream.
Thank you. Dr. Rachel, I would love to bring you in next after this intro. Tell me a little bit about your beginnings with this project, and Jack, you especially being a Staten Island resident. So tell us about your initial conversations.
Yeah, I mean, we were very lucky. Jack was brought into our lives through a mutual friend of mine. And as soon as we read this article and heard about Joe, we just went crazy and said, we need this. You know, the story is so much about women finding their second acts, rediscovering their value, finding ways that they are celebrated, and it's exactly what my company, Madison does. And so that's the journey. And luckily, Liz just stumbled upon our space, and Stephen, because of Liz, became our leader and our captain.
Yeah, and so just out of curiosity, has anyone here been to the Enoteca Maria? All right. No, I mean, then you know, and you know now from this film, that the Enoteca Maria is not just about food. It's about an experience where you are in your grandparents' house, grandmother's house, and that is the dream that Joe Scaravella had from the very beginning. That's what he wanted to do with his restaurant, and he struggled at first and persevered, and now he has a film by this incredible team about his life, and it's been an extraordinary journey all throughout. And so I live in Staten Island. It's the Enoteca Maria is my neighborhood restaurant 3 blocks from my house, and we just through this, me moving there, living there, becoming close to the Joe and the entire staff there. It's like he's become my family, and as I've all the Nonnas there, and so just this notion of taking that story, bringing it to Rachel, to Stephen, to Liz, to all of this incredible cast. It's just truly a dream come true. So it's been quite a journey, and here we are. Thank you.
Lorraine and Brenda, I would love to bring both of you in next. As Rachel put it, this is a very feminine story about women finding their next act. It's a great reminder that the knowledge and experiences we accumulate throughout our lives are never invalid. There is always value in them. So tell me a little bit about embracing these themes and then bringing these wonderful characters to life. Maybe we can start with you.
Was that me?
Well, let's put it this way. I love playing a Nonna. I am a real Nonna, so that's always fun. I love the script. I was moved by it. I loved that the women got to have a second act and feel empowered and loved by Joe. I thought that was really a great thing. You know, Liz wrote a great script with great characters, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun to play.
That's it.
And Brenda?
Come on, Brenda. Thanks for the encouragement. I think you're right that it was a joy and a pleasure. I think it was. I don't like that. I don't like it. Can you hear me? No. What do you mean? You can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
No. Is this the commercial?
I can hear you. Go by them. Where was I?
You were, that it was so much fun to play with me.
It was a great cast. The play's the thing. The script was unbelievable to read it. It was like, gosh, this is really well written. I mean, it was moving. And I called it my Jimmy Stewart movie. You know, because it had all those things in it that make you think about home and your old dog and, you know, your garage and your books and your family. And it was about family. And it made me remember what my mother said once to me when I was a teenager. She said, Brenda, remember one thing. She said, family is everything. And I just danced out. but I never forgot it. And today it means everything. So I just wanted to do this movie so much because of the way that it was written. Such a beautiful writer. And he was just a joy to work with. Because if you brought something to work, he'd say, do it, let's see it. And I really love that, because that has to do with freedom of creativity. Freedom of like making a choice and seeing if it works. You know, you have so little time to put down what's going to be there forever. So, and he was a joy and a pleasure to work with.
Blah, blah, blah.
And
Except that, no, listen, I have to say this about Stephen. He wanted me to wear those stupid glasses. We did a makeup and hair test, and he said, no, you just try them. And I looked at him, I said, what? Why? Because Lori, just try them. So we put it on film, and he would turn around and he would laugh. And I said, that's not the way an actress likes to feel going into a movie with her director laughing at her.
but why did I do it? Because I was like, I don't know how else to make you look older. That's the only way I could do it. It was the Uncle Junior glasses. And I have to say, from a casting, I chose you both because you're so demure and you're so even keeled and calm. And I love you both very much.
That's what makes food great and family great. Passion.
And Joe, I would love to bring you in next. I love your character, the support that you have. And it all comes together through Bruno's support, basically. I was wondering what you were excited about exploring through this character, and what was your initial response to Liz's script that has been getting a lot of praise?
Oh gosh. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just going to praise the script more. So there it is. No, it reminded me of reading John Patrick Shanley, when I was younger, and the way that he captured all the nuances of Italian behavior. And if you grow up in an Italian home or with an Italian family, I've said there's a couple of things in the script that really I found true, and I found like, oh, this is going to be fun. Is Italian couples, they go after each other, and when you have your friends that are not Mediterranean hot-blooded people that come over to your house, and it's like they look like they're gonna have a stroke, Like, what, are you all right? Like, yeah, what are you talking about? You're like, why are you yelling at each other? We're not yelling. What are you talking about? That's not yelling, And so I think in every Italian household there's an amount of murder in the way that you talk to each other. But there's a sixth gear, and unless you go to the sixth gear, you're okay. And that was in the script, and I thought that was so funny to me. And also like, the way that machismo plays out in Italians, and it plays out in a couple of ways. There's the time I'm walking down the driveway, and Drea kind of takes her straps off her shoulders when she's sitting on the lawn chair. What are we giving the neighborhood a show? And it's like, oh, he's being controlling. No, I'm telling her she's hot, but it's like, put it away, please. It's like a funny, that's the way they talk to each other, and unless you understand, it's like understanding like Chekhov's funny. You're like, what's funny about that? It's like, trust me. It's like, unless you're from there's a little underlying hum. So I thought that Liz wrote those notes on the page perfectly, where I'm like, oh, the average person wouldn't understand this code, but like I get it. And then of course, the friendship between two men who cannot communicate to save their lives to each other is so funny. And again, it's like the notes are on the page, but I'm like, the wife is telling him to say it this way, and I'm working on that communication skill. It's like all awkward language that has to come out a certain way. So it was very like, as an actor, it's always, oh, what's my motivation? But it's also like, what's my obstacle? And I thought that Liz captured so perfectly the obstacles to being Italian. That was it. It was real,
Everything's real.
I want to talk a little bit about food, of course. The way you capture it with your DP Florian Woolhouse is incredibly romantic and passionate. And I think you applied this technique that you slow down the shots a little bit to actually really give the food the moments to shine. Tell us a little bit about those visual choices.
Well, yeah, it was Florian is an absolutely brilliant DP, as everyone knows. And so is his father. I mean, it's so amazing that he was everybody knows Goodfellas, obviously Lorraine, the famous Copa shot, right? I mean, Florian was the focus puller for that shot, right? For his dad. And so for us and for him, we talked about, as everyone else has said, and I'm not just saying this because she is my wife, it's all in the script. What? I love you. So her script was like a phone book. It'd be like one line of dialogue, and like the ziti would get this much description. You know what I'm saying? It was like so. I just followed that. We had a great food stylist, but really, what I wanted to capture visually, it wasn't so much in the cooking, but it was also in the eating. Like I loved adding those little funny bits of, like when they cut the lasagna and there's this like little piece left and this massive piece left, and like do, and they take the massive piece. Things like that, or like the Mr. Coffee and certain details that I just wanted to, even if that wasn't your life, it was about the nostalgia and the joy of it, your memory of the thing. To me, what was so remarkable about the food, obviously the flavor and the aroma, things like that, and the tactile part, there's really the emotion about it. That food is love, and like the line that Liz wrote, as long as I have their food, I'm going to have them. So I try to, from a very early moment, to link the idea of food to the emotions that we all have as children. The way I have, like my mom's in the audience, there's my dad, and I will, for the rest of my life, how I'll feel about chicken paprikash, because I grew up in a Eastern European, Polish Slovak household that married into an Italian thing, and I was one of the people, like Joe said, that walked in and said, "What the hell's wrong with these people? Jesus God!" So yeah, it's more of an emotional thing. To me, it was a dance. But even like one of my favorite moments, I love the Sunday dinner at the end when they're all enjoying. I love seeing it made. I love seeing it tasted. I love just the conversation. If you listen, you can't hear a single word they're saying. And yet you can feel the conversation anyway. I don't know, it's very, very special to me. I love doing it.
And Lorraine and Brenda, thank you. Lorraine and Brenda, how involved were you? How hands-on were you in the preparation of the food?
I know what Lorraine's going to say.
How involved were you in the preparation of the food?
Huh? What does that mean?
How much cooking did you do of the actual food?
Nothing.
There you go.
You get a chance to ask one more question.
I think
I was amused with Jason, who was our
Jason
chef
Farella, yes.
on the set, and he would come around and he would be preparing things, and Brenda would be eating as anything was passing by. Stop eating everything. And she said, "Well, did you taste this bruschetta?" And I said, "No." She said, "Taste it." And then we were all four of us were like eating the whole plate. I cook, so I had to laugh over Talia, who is a vegetarian, who hates meat, and every time a steak would come out, or the sheep's head, she would literally be... It was very funny, and Susan is a big cannoli, so so Jason would bypass me because I know you know what you're doing, and then try to teach everybody else. It was very funny.
Were you familiar with the dish? A follow-up question with the dish
No.
capuzel?
No.
Did you try it?
No. No, merci. Did you?
I didn't, but I made a to-do list after watching the movie. Go to this restaurant and try capuzel, and it's gonna happen.
Call me then.
Liz, I want to ask you. We were, talking about John Patrick Shanley, Moonstruck, and we mentioned Goodfellas, obviously, and from Talia Shire, I'm thinking about Godfather. All these movies in the way that they present food and how important breaking bread is around a table as a family, at the spirit of these movies, I'm wondering if these nods were intentional for you when you were writing the script, if you were actively thinking about these movies.
What a great question. Actively and non-actively, like in our subconscious. So I know it was there, and it's just, yes, I mean, the inspiration just sitting on the stage, it's like, my God, the fact that any of these people would say words I've written, like, are you kidding me? Just absolute legends. And so all of their body of work, but really it's like these women and men are extraordinary human beings. And so it's the woman that they brought to it. It's listening and hearing about their mothers and their fathers and their children, and that's what I think shadowed it more. Even
Liz, you joined the group.
I love it. I want nothing more.
I think we have a few minutes left. I want to maybe end with a question for the producers, Jack and Rachel. To me, this is a great movie about food, but a great movie about New York as well, and about a slice of New York that we don't always see in cinema. So I'm wondering, what did it feel like for you to embrace the New Yorkness of this movie and then seeing it all come together in the end in the way that it did?
I'll let Jack answer that, but as somebody who doesn't live here and is from Los Angeles and has always wanted to live in New York, it was a dream just to be present in that space. And I'll pass it over to Jack.
Sure. I mean, I think we all love New York neighborhood movies, and in many ways this is a new version of that. Staten Island is featured in a few films, but for me, one of my favorite films is Working Girl. I love that story. I love the writing. I love the pace of it, and it was a big inspiration, I know, for everybody here. And so to be able to take on a version of Staten Island that's more contemporary, it's just really a great challenge, and hopefully we're presenting something new. But yeah, I think that's there's so many movies made about New York, and so New York City is a city where there is a neighborhood for anyone, and this is, and living in Staten Island, which I'm very, very proud of. It's and so happy there. It's so great to be able to have that chance, and so. And one last thing, I just want to make sure, is my mother-in-law here? Is she?
She left.
What? Oh. I was gonna say, I love this so much.
She was so proud before the movie. Oh my God, what did I do to you, Jack? I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say that there are any inspiring filmmakers out there. My advice would be to make movies that your mother-in-law likes. But that apparently didn't work out.
Well, maybe I can be greedy and squeeze in one last question for everybody. Since this movie is about the memory of food and passing on that memory through generations, maybe in one or two word answers, everybody can give a dish that meant a great deal to them from their childhoods, and maybe making this movie kind of brought back that memory. Maybe we can start with you, even though you mentioned the dish.
Well, yes. Growing up, it was chicken paprikash that my mother made, and it is now, sorry Mom, my second favorite dish. My current favorite, which is I know our children's favorite, is Liz makes this homemade from scratch lasagna that was passed down through her family every Christmas Eve. It is like the highlight of the year, so it is lasagna.
Liz?
He had it right away, that guy.
It's lasagna, my family's lasagna. It would take them 3 days to make it and then 10 minutes to eat it. It's the best compliment of all.
And Lorraine, I know it's not Kapuzet.
Yeah, it is not. I had an English mother. She was a war bride, and so tea was my favorite food.
Brenda?
I grew up with a great Italian family. Nobody pushed anything about being Italian on me, but The aunts, the sisters of my father, were hysterical. They didn't want to speak English. They didn't care if you objected. I mean, if someone was at the door, they'd go, "Who is he?" And her sister, Aunt Tessie, would say, "Can you imagine? She's still here so many years. She can't say, 'Who is it there?'" That's what I call it. It was a great family, a very loving family. Everybody was happy. And they would eat all the time, which was joyous to me, but they talked Italian, so I would go in another room. Because my father wasn't interested that I learned Italian. Better I should learn Latin with him, he was such a scholar. But anyway, growing up with an Italian family was vital to my process and ability to love, to forgive, to have the best spirit you can possibly have every day of your life. And when I read the script, I saw the beauty. I saw the beauty of the picture of prosperity and happiness and family. Family, the one thing we can't ever forget. And now that I'm older, I appreciate it so very much. And I hope you will too. Because when I read that script, I was in tears. I just thought, God, I miss everybody. God, I miss everybody. And the script was wonderful to read. And everybody that I gave it to cried. I went, just because it was moving about family. So, and I know you're going to enjoy it. I just know it.
And that's a very, very poetic way of saying excellent partnership. I love you so much, Brenda Vaccaro. You have no idea. I love you so much.
Okay, I guess I'm next. So yeah, my mother was not Italian. My father's Sicilian, but my mother is Croatian. Yeah, Sicily. Yeah, all right. That's right, Sicilian. Not Italian, Sicilian. It's different. No. But no. So the summer times we spent with my nanny and sauce and sausage and meatballs and things like that. So how they made the sauce. But my mother was the one who cooked for me growing up, and most of what she cooked culturally was Armenian. So yeah, there you go. So she'd get my father up with her on Sundays, and they would make lamajuns, and they would cook the lamajuns, which are basically like Armenian pizzas with lamb meat, and put them in the fridge. So that's when I go home. I'm like, my mom's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "I want lamajuns. I want sujuk and eggs on the weekends. So let's go."
Thank you. Cheese kugel. That is the thing that I love the most. And my mother, who actually is in the audience right now,
We love Rachel.
she makes a great cheese kugel, and I think the recipe is from her mother, my grandmother, and I hope that I can have some cheese kugel soon.
Thank you. And Jack?
Yeah, one of the things that we've all seen in this film is that this film is about food, but it's also about loss, and it's kind of coincidental. Well, I should say this, it's not coincidental. It's so many things in the making of this film have happened in a way that just felt like it was charmed, and one of those is on May 9th, and by the way, thank you all for coming out for this preview screening. You're seeing it before anyone else, and when it does come out on Netflix on May 9th, it's the 6th anniversary of my mother's passing. And so that, again, just charmed in every way. This film, the script, the process. And for me, when I was away or coming home, my mother would make chili, and it was the scent of the chili that was my way to come home. And so the door opens, you can smell the chili, and home. Immediately, in an instant.
It's just a beautiful note to end the conversation on. But we should have a Nonna's cookbook and include all the recipes for all these dishes. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And thank you to our amazing panel. Thank you.